are listening to Para X.
Welcome to Stirring the Cauldron. Now, here's your host, Marla Brooks.
Hey, Merry Meet everybody, and welcome to Stirring the Cauldron here on the Para X Radio Network. And the opening song tonight was called Lost Souls by Midnight Syndicate. And my guest tonight, paranormal investigator Ray Jorden, might have experienced a few lost souls during the filming of his new show, Haunting Australia. Now, even from a young age, Ray knew that death was not the final curtain, and he knew that we just moved somewhere else where we couldn't be seen. But where we go is that unanswered question and journey that keeps him going. Ray's a prolific paranormal investigator in the UK, has a huge array of TV, radio, and media credits to his name. He investigates the paranormal in his own unique style of an old-school super sleuth, which is his passion, and being able to translate this to TV and taking the viewers on a roller coaster of investigating is just the icing on the cake. So with further TV and ghost hunting event appearances planned for 2015, and further long-term commitments to Haunting Australia, Ray will be taking his audience to new locations and is looking forward to bringing the show alongside the other cast members to America. And that's going to happen starting March 24th at 10 p.m., 9 Central on the Sci-Fi Channel. So Ray's here tonight to talk about ghosts, the show, and what it's like to investigate down under. Ray, welcome.
Thank you very much. It's a real pleasure to be with you guys.
Oh, well, thanks for staying up long enough to to be with us.
Oh, no, that's fine. Plenty of coffee. It's absolutely fine.
Okay, that's good. Well, some investigators say, well, it's easy for them because half the time they're up all night anyway. So
Exactly. I'm very much what you call a night bird. I think I do my best work at night, my best thinking at night time. So, yeah, this is a piece of cake.
Okay, good. Well, I'm going to start out by asking you the age-old question, because some people always say that there's a difference between a ghost and a spirit. So I'm wondering what your definition of a ghost is, because some say that a ghost differs from a spirit in that a ghost is a scary, wandering spirit that haunts, as opposed to the sweet Granny Gert who quietly watches over the family like a guardian angel.
I think, this is obviously just my opinion, that I'm happy to share with you. I think ghosts and spirits are two separate entities. There's two separate things. And when I've been asked this question before, I try and put it in a very simplistic way. So for me, a ghost is a replay of a person or that person in a situation in a particular location, almost like a DVD on rewind that plays and plays and plays. So for me, it's not the actual real ghost, if you see what I mean. It's just like a memory, a place memory. So I consider, in my opinion, that the spirit is the real essence of the being, which some mediums and psychics will pick up on. So the spirit for me is the true embodiment of what that person used to be.
So you're saying a ghost is more residual than active, and
absolutely. And sometimes I think maybe, I hate to say it, but maybe people get, investigators or people who have these sightings or occurrences, or they witness some paranormal activity in their house or what have you, do get confused. Oh, there's the dog. do get confused with the ghost part of it, because they're just witnessing maybe a flash of a memory or a flash of a place memory, or that person.
And a lot of people don't understand the dynamics of it. Like with an anniversary ghost, for example, it shows up once a year. They don't understand kind of what goes on if they see something once. It's just, this is why we're out here. This is what we're doing. This is why we're trying to kind of tell people what we think is happening, as opposed to what they not know. Yeah.
I always like to think that in anything that I've ever done, and I'm sure you're the same, that you go out there and you collate and you collect, the evidence, and then you present it to your audience. You're not saying that this definitely is this, that, it's not this. I always like to make the people who come to the events, I like them to make their own mind up and their own opinion up. I will not enforce my opinion on anyone. I'm happy to have skeptical people come along on investigations, on events, because if their opinion has changed at the end of the day, then they've changed it themselves. I haven't changed it. And
you can't really change. There's so many, I think skeptical is great. Cynical is dangerous.
Absolutely.
There's the blinders, and you can't get through. But I think we all go out and deal with things with a very skeptical thing. We try to disprove before we can prove.
Sure. I was on a radio show a few days ago from Los Angeles, and the lady I was talking to, there was another guest on, and she was a medium, and she said as a medium, even she has a skeptical side because she has to have one. And that's really refreshing to actually hear.
Yeah, and anybody that thinks either they know it all or whatever, it's not necessarily a good thing.
No, I mean, Marla, I don't know it all. I'm still learning, even if I've been doing this for quite a number of years now. I don't think you can ever stop learning in this field. There's always something new that you will learn or pick up or think, oh, I could use that. That that's going to be good on the next investigation. So I wouldn't ever say that I know it all. No way.
Yeah, unfortunately, too many people do. In general, not just in ghosts. But anyway, you've been trying to contact spirits from a very early age, and even did a little bit of experimenting without knowing what you were doing. You were doing scrying as a child. Yeah. How successful were your attempts at that age? Because so many children are much more open to it than adults.
Do you know what? It's really bizarre, because I talk about this quite a lot on interviews, and I was about 5 or 6, very early. My grandfather had a huge house. We used to play in the basement, the cellar, and we used to go looking for ghosts and monsters, even though I don't think we really had a good idea of what a ghost was. We kind of knew. And we just, one day, we just picked up a mirror and a candle, and we just kind of set it up, looking into the mirror, hoping to see something behind us, calling out. I mean, we didn't know what we were doing, really. I mean, it was a bit naughty of us at such a young age, but there was something underlying that we kind of did know what we were doing, but we didn't. It's hard to explain. There was something inside that, how would we know what to do?
Yeah, it was inherent, yeah.
Yeah. And, I think, as things progressed, strange little things used to happen in the house. I think the house was a bit kind of spooky anyway. And it's just, I don't know, it was just something exciting, something thrilling. I wasn't scared at the time. I wasn't frightened because I think maybe as a child, I look back as a child and maybe we didn't have, that type of fear level that some people grow to have today. I don't know. It was just something that kind of was like a biological clock. I think it kind of struck on paranormal or spiritual, and then ever since it's what keeps me going.
Yeah, I think it happens to a lot of people, and it's funny because a friend of mine and I, when we were little, did the same thing, except we didn't have the mirror because we were afraid of what might be in the mirror. The old Mary Worth story, but we did have the candle. And there was a lesson learned when we did this, because during one of our candle sessions, we would talk to the flame. And if it got really tall, it was a yes. And if it got short, it was a no. And if it sparkled, then we made the spirit angry. And for some reason, I got the giggles. And she got very mad at me and told me to stop, that I was being disrespectful. But at that moment, it was like laughing in church. I couldn't. And about 2 seconds later, the candle, which had been sitting right in the middle of a table in a very heavy bronze candelabra, slid all the way across the table in my direction on its own and tipped itself over in my lap, dripping wax and all.
Oh, my goodness.
And the lesson learned here, loosely translated, was if you play with fire, you might get burned. And it didn't dissuade me from, continuing the what we did, but and growing up to be who I am now about it. But
sure,
it was something. It was like, be very careful. And that's, I think, what scares me about people who want to go out and investigate the paranormal without knowing anything about it. You can get burned.
Of course you can. Absolutely. I mean, my recommendation, probably exactly the same as yours. I would say if it's something you want to get into, I would research around to see if there's a local team that you can maybe guest on or join, and then learn from the bottom up like we've all had to do. I wouldn't just go out there, do this, that, and the other without knowing maybe some of the ramifications that things could happen, or how to, if the situation turned a bit nasty, how to control it, or how to get out of it, or how to shut, chakras down, this, that, and the other. I would always say, research and do something. Yeah, join a team that are going to be fantastic.
Yeah, it's not a dog and pony show, but a lot of people think they're doing it for kicks. And
it's not. There's no kicks about it, is there? No. It's not glamorous. I mean, people see these TV shows and they think it's going to be just like that. Well, I'm sorry, it's not. Even making a TV show, it seems glamorous, but it's not. We spent hours, like 24 hours filming. We do the behind the scenes, we do the investigations, and when we're doing, things away from TV, you spend hours and hours maybe just sitting, calling out. Sometimes things don't happen, or you don't get any evidence, or the activity might be very low. So it's, you don't go out there for a jolly, it's serious stuff.
It is. And, you've been doing it so long, which brings us to your latest venture on the show, Haunting Australia. Now, the show's premise is that 6 of some of the best ghost hunters in the business from all corners of the globe have joined forces to, what they say, lift the lid on Australia's most haunted locations. And all of you use different methods. You're all after the same results, but judging from what I've seen on the show from trailers and teasers, Australia hasn't disappointed as far as haunts and evidence is concerned, has it?
No, I mean, obviously I can skirt around the edges of the program, but absolutely, if you think about Australia, it's a very, very new country. relatively new country in terms of like the age. And I wasn't sure, Marla, what Australia would bring to the table. I wasn't sure about the type of locations, what would they hold for us. But honestly, it didn't disappoint. None of the locations disappointed at all.
No, and, Australia, being a young country, still has a very rich history. I mean, the culture is kind of founded on stories of bushrangers and brave soldiers and the Aborigines, or Aboriginals.
And don't forget, you've got your convicts that were sent over from like America and Britain.
Yeah.
That there's one place we went to was a mental asylum, and just the scale of the building, I have never ever been to anywhere that large before, ever. It was huge. It was daunting. It was dark, not dark as in kind of like light.
Right.
But dark as in it had a presence to it.
Heavy.
Very heavy. I think there were so many different stories to be told in this place, and we only scratched the surface,
Well, interesting.
Yeah.
You, there's a trailer on YouTube about the
asylum.
Oh, dear. And
okay.
You actually decided that you were going to the morgue, be in the morgue.
Yes.
And you climbed up, you opened the drawer of one of the, what do you call it, whatever they store the dead bodies in. Chiller, yeah. Thank you. You shut it behind you. And from what I could tell on the teaser, you weren't alone, were you?
All I can say to you on that one, all is not what it seems. Put it that way.
All right.
But it's a great episode. The thing I like about Haunting Australia, you see the reenactments as well, so you get to know the history.
Yes.
I think that's important, so the viewer or the audience can obviously get to know the stories with the reenactments, and you hear about the history of the location, and what you see on this program is how it happened. So there's nothing, nothing staged. It's an honest, genuine program, and I'm so proud to be a part of it.
Well, what's interesting is the team. You're all very diverse.
Yes.
In addition to yourself, you've got Rob Demarest, who American audiences know from Ghost Hunters International. And we also know Ian Lawman, who is an exorcist and a medium from Most Haunted. We've seen him. But you've got Raylene Cable, who is a very well-known Australian psychic medium.
Yeah.
Clairvoyant. And Gaurav Tiwari, which is maybe I don't know if I said his name correctly, but I hope I did.
You said it excellent. That's amazing. Yeah, Gaurav Tiwari, yeah. So,
and he's the founder, I think, of the Indian Paranormal Society. And then you've got Alan Tiller, who runs two of Australia's most prominent paranormal teams. So, I mean, you've got mediums, you have exorcists, you have investigators, you cover all bases. And as I mentioned in the intro, you've been called the old school super sleuth.
Yeah, very, very Sherlock Holmes, yeah. Yeah.
So how does your manner of investigating differ from others? And is it in a significant way or just a little off differently? What?
Well, it's kind of, I wanted to, when I got involved with Haunting Australia, I mean, I've known Rob Demarest for a number of years. He's a great friend. And, all the cast and myself have become very close, and we're a great, we're good friends and we're good teammates. And I was talking to Rob, and Rob was talking to me, and we were talking about differences with the modern and the old. And I thought, something I've been trying to do for a while is to go back to basics. Go really far back. No huge equipment, maybe with the odd, tiny bit of technology, but go, old school, which you don't see much of anymore. You've got your trigger objects, you just go out with a camera, a dictaphone, just old school stuff. Putting myself in a position as a trigger object as well, which is something to look out for in the show, which is good. Yeah. I just wanted to bring sort of like old alongside the modern, that Alan and Gaurav and our lead investigator, which was Rob, were all using this modern technology. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of, and it works, it works. It really does work.
It does, and I always appreciate, because whenever we used to go out, we always had a medium along with us, and that's about as old school as you can get. You need the scientific, but you also need to trust yourself, your feelings, not just the mediums, but when you're out on an investigation. How do you feel? Is the atmosphere heavy? Is the hair standing up on your arms? Did somebody just smack you across the head? You need to have that along with it. So the fact that
I think. Go ahead. Sorry. No, I was going to say, everything you're describing is everything I would say to someone myself. I think our own senses, the way we feel, the way we hear, we are our biggest bit of equipment that we could ever have. So why don't we use it more? Do you know what I mean? In the new show, we all do individual solo walk rounds on our own. Obviously, there's CCTV everywhere. It's all very modern. We're all being monitored. So if anyone ever gets into trouble, we know exactly where they are. We can get them out, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. But, one of the locations, I think it's episode 1, it's just, amazing what evidence is picked up.
Mm-hmm. I saw a little bit of it on YouTube, and you're right.
You've been having a sneak peek, have you?
I had to have a sneak peek. I was just like, I can't wait till the 24th, because I kept looking at the teasers and the trailers, and as I was watching, if it makes it sound better, I'm going to have to watch it again on the big screen, okay? Sure. YouTube just didn't cut it. It wasn't quite as interesting and nice visually as it could have been. But and the other thing, you're talking about equipment, Rob had some equipment that I had never seen before. I guess it's constantly changing and evolving, and the one thing that you don't see too much anymore, I think, are K2 meters and Mel meters. They seem to have kind of fallen on the wayside, and now the new things are coming in, and I think that's great.
Well, it's Rob is an amazing person to work with, and I'm not just saying that because we're friends. He's been doing this for a long time. He's investigated in over 40 countries, and I think he always wants to push the boundaries of new equipment, because it's been superseded so quickly in the market. He always wants to push it a bit further and a bit further, and this is why he's always regenerating his arsenal of equipment, for a better word. He's coming to England next month to do some investigations here for a week, and he's bringing loads of equipment, and then he's in Ireland in May, and again there's more new equipment. So so some things you see in the show are a combination of Alan, who's very inventive, Gaurav, and Rob. I mean, one thing that didn't make the show was an experiment that we did. Three of us did a 3-way EVP session with walkie-talkies, which was really interesting. Sadly, it didn't make the show, but it was interesting nevertheless to think out of the box and do something different. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think things keep getting better and improving, and it gets closer and closer. You almost feel like you can reach out and touch what you're really looking to get out of certain investigations and things. It's fantastic.
And I think absolutely, and I think just as we get to that point where, like you say, we're in reaching distance, the goalposts change and it goes a bit further away, so we have to reinvent the equipment, to go and catch up. And it's like with Gaurav. Gaurav is the master of taking full spectrum photos on his camera. I mean, the evidence he picks up, Marla, is incredible, absolutely incredible.
He's very metaphysically inclined too, isn't he?
He is. Again, I think how can I put it? It's just like a non-stop learning curve. We were out in Australia filming for 2.5 months. I mean, in 2.5 months, we had 4 days off, which isn't a lot, really. We were constantly working, constantly filming, traveling around, We all had our own strengths that we kept each other going. But Gaurav, when you talk to cast members one-on-one, or you just, others are sleeping in the car, and you just talk, and, everyone's so interesting. Honestly, great stories have been shared.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I imagine so. There was one story that I was reading about a haunted pub with a hallway to hell.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It said that you narrowly avoided demonic possession. Now, I know you can't tell the story and spoil the story,
sure.
But I'm curious to know about your thoughts on demons, because, well, I firmly believe in the duality of dark and light, good and evil, mm-hmm. and that, demonic entities do exist. For the past couple of years, they seem to be very much in vogue, and there's been an explosion of self-proclaimed demonologists who would have people believe that there are a bazillion demons falling from the sky and lurking around every corner. According to more rational thought, probably is not the case. What do you think?
I don't think that's the case. I think it's maybe people jumping on the bandwagon. I mean, who's to say that there might be, demonic, possessions out there? And mm-hmm. I know when I was in Mexico, I worked with a Mexican paranormal team, and the lead investigator was called Javier. And excuse me. And part of his job that he felt, it was all non-paid, was to stamp out the black magic, stamp out demonic mm-hmm. possession, and he showed me footage of exorcisms. Mm-hmm. Oh, excuse me. So I don't know. I'm very open-minded about it, but I don't know. I do believe in the dark and light, very much like yourself. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. But there does seem to be an explosion of demonologists on the market these days.
Or so-called demonologists, right?
Yeah.
Here we buy the certificate. Somebody advertises on the internet, and for $50 you get your demonology certificate and take a 3-question quiz. You're done.
But it happens, as you know it, and I know it happens. It happens. Yes. I mean, I think we've all seen the websites, but. Yes. But yeah, in the TV show, I don't know. Without giving too much away, I don't know what it was. That's my feeling and my take on it. I don't know what it was. Other people have their own opinion, which totally respect, because that's the whole thing about, the investigation side. Everyone's got an opinion. We all share our opinion, and we leave it up to the viewer to, to make their own mind up. But it was a situation where I have never been in before, ever in my life. Ever, in all my years doing this, never. Absolutely never. It's never happened. And that's all I can say.
At the time, does it absolutely scare you more when it's happening, or after you come out of it and then think back upon it? Is that where the horror comes?
Okay, how can I answer this? I think when I look back on it, I think, geez, did that really happen? Mm-hmm. When I came out of this situation, I was calm. After a while, I was calm. Everyone was lovely. The crew was great. Lots of support, but it just didn't really affect me, though. There were other people with me, and apart from Ian, I think, we all had side effects afterwards. It was a strange thing, very strange, very odd. But this is what happens. When you put yourself up for something, you just don't know what's going to happen.
So you were the target object in that investigation, were you, in a sense?
Do you know what? I think I might have been, because because we pick up on an EVP in that episode, and it says something, and it's played to the rest of the team, and their take on it is interesting, and that's and I love talking about what we do, but because it's not been on TV yet, I really can't go too much into it.
No, and that's fine. And I think what's fascinating is that it's been shown in Australia. Is the series done there now? Series 1?
No, season 1 is still being repeated. Can you believe that?
Right.
We're on another channel now in Australia, and we're being repeated and repeated. We've appeared in 25 countries so far. We over here in the UK, Canada, America is our last biggest market to show you guys.
Yeah, it's amazing how it just kind of went all over the place. I mean, it was so well
I know
received.
we couldn't keep up. We just couldn't keep up with where we. It's like we've been shown in the Philippines and South Korea and all these places, and I have lovely messages. I think we've all had messages all over the place saying, "Oh, we loved your show," and that's the nice thing about working with these guys, because everyone always responds to the people that support the show, whether it's on Twitter or Facebook. Everyone always has the time, and I like that, because it's these guys that really help us do what we do, or keep on doing what we do.
Mm-hmm. And as we were talking before the show, it was interesting, just for the listeners, that Tim mentioned that we had 25 countries listening in tonight.
Yes.
And then, you mentioned that the show has gone out to 25 different countries. So I thought that was kind of a serendipitous thing.
Yeah, and I believe you mentioned about Vietnam. I think we have shown it. Yeah, we have played over there.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Spooky.
Yeah, in that respect, yeah, it's definitely spooky, but in a good way. Yeah, and there is such a thing as being a good spooky.
Of course there is.
During the course of season 1, you're going to all kinds of places. You've mentioned the lunatic asylum. There's a pioneer village. There's a jail, a haunted school, and a haunted pub. You seem to be covering all bases, and
well, a lot of these locations were actually sourced by Rob and Alan. Obviously, Alan's in Australia, and these guys work very closely together. So everyone had good input into the show, and these were. I think what they wanted, or what the show wanted, was every location to be different, every location to tell a different story, one different haunting to another. And I think we've actually covered that pretty well by some of the things that we uncover. But on the flip side of the series, we kind of break the episode up where you get to see us having some downtime as well. Which is fun. We go and do something very Australian, and that was fun to do. And then it jumps into the evidence when we talk and discuss the evidence. So it's a great series. It's a great format.
It is, and okay. So here's something that you didn't mention covering, but Australia is full of strange and mysterious creatures. They have a truly unique environment and ecosystems, and they have their fair share of cryptids and creatures and mythological beasts. And I know the Yowie is akin to our Bigfoot and Sasquatch.
Yes.
And then there are two of my favorites. The Bunyip. I love the Bunyip, and I think I love it because of his name, who supposedly lives in or near bodies of water, and it comes out at night to feast on animals, young children, and women. But my favorite cryptid, my favorite mythological creature, and I hope it's mythological, is the drop bear, who is probably best described as a giant carnivorous koala bear. It's said to live in the tops of eucalyptus and gum trees, and they hunt, I love this, by dropping down from the trees onto the heads of their victim, which knocks them unconscious, and then they get to eat them. Now, I love the drop there. Have you been introduced to any cryptid or mythical creature in any of your investigations?
No, unfortunately, we haven't. The most we got were real life characters and creatures when we went to a wildlife park, when we met a koala. But Edmund the koala. But no, I mean, in one episode we do reference to that Alan looks like a yowie because of his long hair, and it's all tongue in cheek. It's all fun. But no, we didn't at all. No, sadly.
It could happen. Season 2.
Of course it could.
You never know. Season 2. All right, so in all your years of ghost hunting, is there one piece of an evidence that stands out above all others in helping to convince you that spirits and things that go bump in the night aren't just our imagination?
Oh, gosh. I used to think, and this is totally honest, I used to think that everything, back in the early days, everything was ghostly, everything was paranormal. But as I've got older, I've learned a bit more, and I've become a bit more rational and a bit more skeptical. And I know it's not true that things that we perceive as paranormal could be, and has a reasonable explanation, good logic to it, and we can dismiss it. And I always said, especially over here in the UK, it's very quaint, and the hauntings over here are great stories, but they're not as on the same scale. And I hope this doesn't offend anyone, as like America or Australia. And I always said, Marla, that I've never ever been frightened. I've never ever been, reduced to tears or anything like that. I've been spooked. I've been jumpy. And I would say Australia gets the gold medal for that for me. I think Australia really did open my eyes a lot further. I think I was quite blinkered over here. Even though we've experienced things over here and in Mexico and other international locations, but Australia certainly, for me at the moment, is cream of the top. Convinced.
It has that mystique to it. I mean, you have, the Aboriginals. You have so many different layers upon layers of things, like we said before, the penal colony and all this other stuff. And there's so much open air and so much, not mystery, but kind of historically stories that have been told. And, it just has an air of that surrounding it.
I think you're absolutely right. I think, the stories that I've heard out there were other stories that we didn't get to investigate, obviously, because we had our set schedule. I think the investigators out there do a great job, and I think with the TV show we've paved the way to open it to a bigger audience now. And I think everyone out there has just scratched the surface of that amazing country. And I think there are so many different stories and tales to be uncovered. I firmly believe that.
Yeah, and, I'm not predicting, but, from what I've seen, the show will definitely be picked up for a second season, which is going to open so many more doors. And I'm looking forward to seeing the first one, but I'm ready for the second one as well.
Oh, bless you. We just don't know at the moment. We get asked this quite a lot. When are you doing season 2? Well, and as soon as we know, we'll let everyone else know, of course. But at the moment, we just don't know. But it's still going strong, and it's still, popular. So we'll see. We'll see.
Well, there are leper colonies out there too, as well, which always kind of give you kind of a creepy feeling and stuff. So diverse. But all right, let me ask you this. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
It just came to my mind. when you're visiting a place, when you're investigating somewhere like a lunatic asylum, do you have a different frame of mind as you would by perhaps going to a jail because of the inmates in the asylum versus the criminals in the jail? I mean, when you go into an investigation, you have to be kind of thinking about, okay, well, this is somewhere where people were a little unstable, or a jail. Yeah. This is someone where people were really bad. So how does that affect you when you walk into an investigation?
That's really an interesting question. I mean, when I first saw pictures of when I was over here in the UK before I went to Australia, I saw pictures of the mental asylum. I thought, okay, yeah, that looks all right. That doesn't seem too bad. But when I'm standing in front of it, when I see it for the first time, it blew my mind how big it was. And then I learned that people were admitted for being bipolar and for being gay and having a bad common cold or just these everyday ailments that we could cure today.
Yeah.
People were put in this mental asylum, and it kind of sinks your heart a little bit. It's really sad. In some of the cases, it was barbaric, absolutely barbaric. I don't know. I think I had a bad feeling, if I can recall, in my stomach. I don't know. It was like a sinking feeling. I can't describe it, but it wasn't. I didn't enjoy spending time there. It was interesting, and I would do it again. Of course, I would. But I don't think, I didn't overly enjoy it. No.
I think there's probably an overwhelming sadness that goes along with it.
Oh, totally, absolutely, absolutely. And you can feel it. But this is what I don't understand. I mean, so many people died there, I think it was either 10,000 or 13,000, but they only had 4 mortuary chillers. And the maths don't do justice. I can't work out the maths.
Did you walk around the property? Did they have a cemetery there?
I think it was in another part of the town. It wasn't actually on site, but you just don't know. But we got to, we were lucky enough to do walk rounds on our own. When the crew was setting up, we could have a little look round and get our bearings and have a look at some of the, the areas where we will be spending the night, that kind of thing. So we're quite lucky in that respect.
Yeah. Just people that are impressionable would say, okay, well, there's only going to be spirits of crazy people here and they're going to hurt me. This is what a lot of people would go in thinking, overlooking the fact that there may be spirits, as I talked about in the beginning, lost souls.
Yeah, of course there is.
Would inhabit it. That and with the mediums with you, there might be some that needed to cross over. And some mediums will do it, some mediums will not. The ones that we work with are always, if the spirit requests it, yes. If not, they're welcome to stay. I was on one investigation where there was a little girl spirit supposedly there, and the medium picked up on her and tried to banish her. And he's saying, well, your parents are on the other side and you don't belong here and blah, 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 blah. And, I had to bite my tongue because I didn't want to make a scene. But I thought, what are you trying to prove? And more importantly, all right, so you're going to banish this little girl, but I believe that spirits have free will to come and go as they please. So,
Of course. And you've got to have...
Go ahead.
No, sorry, I was going to say, you got to have an element of respect.
Yes.
Every investigation, whether, bad things have happened in the building, whether, there are bad spirits, good spirits, or whatever, but you still have to have a level of respect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, people think once they're on the other side, they're no longer people. And they always will be. I mean, nobody's going to come back as a dog. We're all going to come back as human beings again. And what those spirits that we see, and the spirits that a lot of people disrespect, were somebody's mother or somebody's brother. or somebody's child. And it always just kind of gets to me when certain mediums decide that I'm going to banish these because they don't belong here, or, whatever. I mean, I really wanted to hit them upside the head, just sitting there. I was grinding my teeth and it's like, stop, but I couldn't.
I can see exactly where you're coming from. And I mean, I've been guilty of it before, back in the old days, of goading spirits to try and get something to happen, to try and get them angry to do something, and it's not the way sometimes. It's not always the way. No. It
works for some people, but again, sure. I think it's disrespectful for the most part. It's like I double dog dare you. Okay, double dog dare, but don't be disrespectful as you're doing it.
Because sometimes, you just don't know what's going to come back at you. You really don't.
Well, that's it. And, sometimes these spirits may not be Grandma Gert. Reverend Tim has a thing that he says all the time, that spirits lie and can. And you might think that this is somebody who says she's, somebody's great granny, and it could be somebody who's a prankster. It could be somebody who...
Exactly. I mean, it's like we were talking a few moments ago about the hotel episode in Australia in the new show. What looks like just a regular, country hotel, pub, bar, restaurant, turned into one of the most sinister places I've ever been to. So you just cannot call it. You just don't know. You just don't know.
And sometimes you don't want to know, but you find out anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
I think a lot of people don't understand that when they watch TV shows that there are, as we talked about before, dangers involved. There's pitfalls and pratfalls and all kinds of falls that could happen. And, if it's not demonic, me as a pagan, it could be a disgruntled elemental for that matter.
Of course.
It doesn't have to be what you think it's going to be. It could be just about anything. And it's very important to take any of this into consideration. Even in daily life, words have meaning. Words are heard. The universe hears. The universe responds. You have to be careful what you say and to who, because, it will come back and bite you in the butt at some point.
Of course.
And particularly when you disrespect people or even, elementals. There's some that aren't friendly, but they wouldn't probably hurt you unless you, started poking fun at them or something. But who wouldn't, So,
I completely understand. And that's what, again, and it's easy for me to say, but this is why I love being part of this team. I'm honored to be part of this team because there's so much respect between the cast members. There's so much respect, when we're on location to what might be there, what might not be there, the way we do it, I think we cover I hope we cover every angle and hopefully that translate, great on screen.
Now, to you, what would be the holy grail as far as something you would like to experience and haven't yet encountered?
Oh gosh, I think it would be witnessing, a full embodied apparition right in front of me. I think, I've seen it on camera. You've seen it from a distance, but right in front of me, just one-on-one, I think I question myself actually, Marla, because I say, well, I wonder how I would really feel. How would I feel? Would I be calm? Would I be really nervous? Would I be frightened? All these natural elements of your mind. I don't know. I say I don't know quite a lot because it kind of, I don't know. I think that would be my holy grail.
I think it would depend on who it was. If it was some spirit that looked like, something with his head tucked underneath his arm or something, of course you would be dead scared. But if it was just like somebody's granny or something, I think your reaction would be different. So it's probably not, there is no answer until it happens, but you just never know what could appear in front of your very eyes.
Well, all I can say to you is keep watching all the episodes, because you might just get to see something like that.
Ooh, well, that sounds enticing. I like that. Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to tease you a tiny bit. Yeah.
Dangling the carrot is never a bad thing.
No. It's something that the lovely Rob Demarest witnessed, and just one of the episodes is mind blowing.
Okay, now, it's not quite here yet. Now I'm going to get all impatient and be tapping my foot. And now I don't know which episode it was. Oh, boy. All right. It sounds good, though.
I hope so. We enjoyed doing it. It was a lot of hard work from what we did to what the crew did, the way the crew set up, Oh, excuse me. Traveling from one location to another. But, I think we've done an excellent job, and hopefully we've done something different.
It sounds like it. And we're getting close to running out of time, but I wanted to mention that if people are interested, there are a couple of teasers on YouTube.
And I just literally put the American teaser on my Facebook page.
And that's the other thing we're getting to. What is your Facebook address and website, Twitter, all of that information?
Sure. Well, I've got two Facebook pages. I've got the one called The Real Ray Jorden, which I've had for a while. And I've got just Ray Jorden on Facebook. So any of them or both of them, everyone's welcome. I talk to everybody. I'm not one of these people that won't answer back or what have you. I answer everyone because, I love talking.
One of the
Twitter,
good guys.
I like to think so. Twitter is just Ray Jorden. Again, I'm a huge tweeter. I'm always on Twitter. Always answer everyone's message back. Always, And my website is just rayjorden.com. Get in touch.
And I might mention, too, that Jorden, because some people know the basketball player Michael Jordan is spelled with an A, but your last name is Jorden.
Yeah,
those
correct.
Who start looking and don't find it and say, well, they lied. No, we didn't. It's just
I've just remembered also that the official TV page on Facebook is called Haunting Australia, and also on Twitter as well, Haunting Australia. And also the rest of the cast. You've got Rob Demarest, Raylan Cable, Alan Tiller, Gaurav Tiwari, and Ian Lawman. We're all on Facebook, and we're all on Twitter. Everyone, will answer back. Everyone's lovely.
And if people want to be a little curious, Sci-Fi Channel has they're starting to promote it on the website.
Sure.
So
Sure.
Sci-Fi Channel is another good place to go and see pictures, meet the team with team bios and all kinds of little twists and turns and stuff. And also, aside from that, if people want to look for you on YouTube, there's a lot of stuff that you've done over the years, including your Haunted 911 radio show,
which used to be on Para X. We started on Para X, actually. A long time ago. We don't do it anymore, unfortunately.
No, but there's some good shows there. There's also TV's Paranormal 5 show on there, which you did.
Yes.
So there are a ton of Ray Jorden things to look at while we're waiting for the first episode of Haunting Australia to come on.
It's honestly, the weeks will fly by.
Weeks do fly by, but days don't. They tend to lag a little bit if you're waiting for something.
But what a good thing to wait for. This fantastic program, a fantastic team led by a fantastic, guy like Rob Demarest, because obviously he's our lead investigator on the show. He leads us to all these amazing places. We have all these amazing experiences. We present amazing evidence. That's worth waiting for, surely.
Yes, it is. And I want to thank you for joining me tonight and making the wait a little less, jumping up and down, because now I'm knowing more what to expect, and so I can calm down and wait patiently. No, I don't.
Oh, bless you.
But I'm sure I speak for everybody listening in when I say that they can't wait for the 24th of this month at 10 p.m., 9 Central on the Sci-Fi Channel to tune into Episode 1, Season 1 of Haunting America. And
Haunting Australia.
Yes. Oh, my God. I must be a Yank. It's stuck in my head.
It's all the excitement.
It is Haunting Australia, and I got very excited for 2 seconds, which, is a strange thing. But we want to also wish you best of luck with the show. And please do come back and visit with some lovely stories of your adventures down under when you're freer to talk about them.
Sure.
Love to have you back, because I know there'll be lots of questions from people who've seen it and want to know. And, hopefully you'll run into a ghost of a witch or two. That will kind of liven things up, and I'd love to hear about that.
Absolutely.
So thank you. And I want to thank all of you for listening in tonight, all 25 countries as well. And until next time, everybody, blessed be and merry meet again. Good night.
This has been another edition of Stirring the Cauldron with Marla Brooks. Be sure to tune in next week at this same time for another great guest and more cauldron stirring. Any rebroadcast or other use of this program without explicit permission is strictly prohibited. Copyright 2014. Moonlight Hall by Kevin MacLeod, licensed through Incompetech.com.